After touching down at Taoyuan Airport, I took a brief wander through Taipei before making my way down south to Kaohsiung, a city that, I'm told, was once a familiar fixture in my childhood years in Taiwan. Supposedly, I visited often. Supposedly, I knew it well. And yet, standing here now, I have no memory of it, nor a single snapshot to prove I ever set foot in the city. So in every meaningful sense, I'm here for the first time. Which, if I'm being honest, is not the worst way to begin. It was only 8:30 a.m., but it already felt like a late start by Kaohsiung standards. Breakfast stalls were no longer lined up, and the sound of bikes was quieter than the buzz I had woken up to. The only ones still outside were those too old or too young for school or work, the chefs tidying up their stations after the morning rush, and the cleaners restoring the city's order. And then there were the tourists, myself among them, left out in a city that had already moved on without us. The wind picked up as we moved closer to the port, and splashes of street art began surfacing on the side of buildings. According to Google, Kaohsiung is often dubbed the street art capital of Taiwan, and is also home to its largest port. So while walking down streets lined with art, with wind sending stray strands of my hair in all directions, I did wonder if these descriptions were coined by one walking right here on this very path. By the coast, boats of all kinds drifted in. Some heavy with crates of imported goods, others carrying groups of travelers coming in, all curious about life on the other side of the water. Each arrival brought in people, customs, and accents from another place. In a way, maybe this was how it feels like to live at an airport. Constant hellos and goodbyes, always the first to welcome them ashore, and the last to send them off. Blocks of all sorts of shades lined the shores. How excited I would be if this was the first thing I saw from sea. I wonder what the lives of the people living here are like. Were they all lifelong locals? Or did they move here later in life? And more than anything, do they enjoy living here? After a stroll along the water, I made my way back towards the center of the city, quite literally playing it by ear. I let the sounds of traffic guide me to wherever the action was in the city, and the wide, empty roads appeared. Leading to a peaceful park with squirrels darting through a game of tag. And birds hopping around following whatever their hearts desire. I then rested for a bit by the river, which to my quiet delight was called the Love River. And then walked on again. I took a train and a bus towards Kaohsiung station, the one landmark I could think of that would guide me further towards the action. Had lunch at this place called 国家肉早饭, where I flowed along the rush of peak lunchtime hours. And just kept on walking until the night sky started to settle above me. As the city turned into a darker shade, crowds came out of their workstations and got together at the many delicious-looking restaurants around town. I loved how dinner stalls around the city seemed like a part of their daily routines. I saw people take out food and hang them on the handles of their bikes as they headed home, or talk to people at the shops as if they were longtime friends. Perhaps people were less lonely living in a city like Kaohsiung. The view at night at Kaohsiung's Love River was absolutely beautiful. People were taking walks and bike rides along it, alone or in pairs, and I even got to overhear a pair meet for the first time, for what seemed like a first date. I looked up the backstory of the name Love River, quietly wishing for a love story that had been passed down for generations. And there seemed to be two possible origins. One version, according to the Kaohsiung travel website, traces the name back to a boat rental company stationed right by the river, called the Love River Cruise. The name, with its romantic ring, naturally drew in couples who rode up and down the water, leading the river to gradually adopt the name Love River. The second legend, from the Taiwan Gazette, also stems from the same boat rental company, but takes a different turn. After a typhoon destroyed a part of the company's signboard, only the words Love River remained. A reporter, mistaking it for the river's actual name, wrote about it and unwittingly popularized the name, eventually replacing its original title, Kaohsiung River. A part of me wished the name's origin was a bit more romantic, but as I dug deeper, I read about the river's presence throughout Kaohsiung's history. Standing beside the city as it rebuilt itself after World War II, witnessing its struggles with pollution as industrialization took hold, and transforming many sewage projects later into the waterway it is today. So maybe, in its very own way, it is a love story after all.